Classic Instruments, and he was telling me if I send him, I'm gonna get this clock out of here and take some good pictures of it out here, so that he can see the font and the color, and he's gonna try to do that in the same font and same color in this cluster, so they'll match. I think that's going to be nice. So I'm going to take all this out right now. As I take it down, I've made sure the window trim fit, did a little modifying on it, and just made everything fit as it comes out. And that way it goes back in, we don't scratch no paint, and it all lines up. So I'm going to get your dash out. The dash is out. I had placed all that stuff under here to go to the show. But now I'm going to start buttoning it up and getting it all locked in place, and your defrost hose and all that in. And everything under here looks good. The wiper system, all that's good. And try to get that box mounted off the Explorer. I've got to run that original instrument cluster. It'll run up underneath there and just be up under there running. And then I'll have tether wires off the whip that will come up and control your new instrument cluster. And in all this wiring I'm doing, I put your speakers back here. I've wired all that in, made the mounts, got the speaker wire run up and over. I've got the speaker wire run down to the door. I've got some looms ordered that look like from the 50s. I think will work to get through the door jamb with the wiring. And I'm running the wiring in for the solenoids. I've found the contact points that operate the door, unlock solenoids, and I'm running wire into that, both sides. All your speaker wire runs around. I'm going to hook a RCA wire into your radio to the rear view mirror, so that you'll have your Bluetooth as you are on the phone. Your phone will mirror link to the rear view mirror. You'll see whoever's calling, whatever's on the face of your phone will be up on your rear view mirror. And then you should be able to answer the phone and go through the stereo system with this RCA jack. So that's going to be an awesome feature. And then when you put it in reverse, this will turn into a backup camera, and you can back up and see what's behind you. So it's going to have some really cool features. But I'm going to get in there and get all this wiring wrapped up and get ready for my instrument cluster to come from Classic Instruments. Also, I wanted to show you, this is the controller for your dome lights. There's 2,640 LED lights up in the dome light, and to control all those lights to make them dimmable, which is really need for having this interior light of your car, because you might not want it so bright or whatever. So I have to run these controllers to operate them. So every controller here operates a certain row of lights, and it's all marked down. Row 2, 3, and 4 is this one, so we need to work on it, service it, and then we'll make the wire long enough where this will be right up here over the radio, and if we do need to work on it, it'll all pull right down and come down and do whatever we need to do to it. So that's a really cool feature, and I've tied it to the computer of the Explorer. So when whatever would call the dome light before, we'll call this through relays through all that, and it'll operate just like it did on the Explorer. So your whole dome light, your whole interior will be lit up through the timer. All right, so I went out there to the Explorer and I pulled the latches out of the doors. They had a solenoid on it that your remote entry activated. So I took and drilled the solenoid off of both sides, knowing that's the exact solenoid that goes on the Explorer that you can buy at O'Reilly's. Simple, easy. I was able to fabricate it in a way to where I've got it mounted inside the Woodie door and use the factory arms and stuff out of the Explorer, and just drilled an extension on the original lock on the Woodie, and then found the wiring in the computer for the keyless entry, and both of them work like a champ. So this is going to be super easy to work on, to get parts for, and going to be handy and make it a lot more modern having that remote. You should be able to hit it once in the passenger door lock, hit it twice, both door locks, get to a certain speed, both doors are locked. If either one of them is open, the door's open, it'll say the left door's ajar, right door's ajar. Really going to modernize this Woodie. This is going to be one of the most modern Woodies with all these cool features that I've ever seen. So it sure is nice. This dash comes out and I can work on it on the table. So from here, I'll get this cluster out, get this out, get pictures of this. But I'll go ahead and prep and paint all this. I'm going to texture coat it and paint the color of the console so it kind of blends in, and it'll look phenomenal when we get done with this. Well, Bruce, tighten that hinge up helped out tremendously. Now it's not touching on the paint on the inside. I was able to get these strikes they all work just like they're supposed to. I got the other guide pins in there working like they're supposed to. It just couldn't be any better. It's not touching down here on the paint anymore. So that was a win-win on that. So now that'll allow me to build off of this. I've got it where I've got a seal in there right now, the seal touches at the exact same time all the way up. Same on this side, so when it closes, it has the same amount of pressure on it, so this thing's going to be rock solid when we get done with it. So that was a great benefit, tightening that hinge up. So now I can work on making these arms, but I've already taken the dash out because I'm fixing to send your gauges and stuff. A lot of squaring here I've done ever since I've put the post in place to get to this point. If I never spent the time in these posts getting them in the exact spot in relationship to this hinge, I'd have never been able to get that right there. And I got to have that right there to be able to fit the wood to get the outer plane, and that's where I'm headed. But right now it's working out great. I've got these guide pins in here. I've got mocked up spacers. We'll have rubber there ultimately, but these spacers are the exact same width. So it hits those spacers the same time the seal hits, and then the latches go in place, and this top hatch is just right to where it's going to clear for our strike in there. I've got a perfect gap in between the wood here. These arms working exactly the way they're supposed to. With the way the floor was channeled and everything involved that we modified, it took a lot to make these, because what happens, and you can see, I got it in here where you can see how this works. So when it comes all the way down, they both have to hit at the exact location, and the exact location over here, well, this one will lock and hold it tight, and then you pop that one, and also it has to stop before it touches the wood, so it's a fine line right there as well. And they've got to hit at the same exact time. Then when they go up, they strike on a rubber silencer that's right here, so it hits, and then it's tight. So that's tight, that's tight. So I had to go in there and mock up the thickness of the wood. I had to get a sample of the wood that we're going to use, and then a sample of what type of rubber I'm going to put in there, and then build that and make this stop inside there, hit that bolt at that exact same time on both sides. If I didn't do that, they would constantly rattle when you're going down the road, rattle, rattle, rattle. So I got that done, and it doesn't take a whole lot to change that. I mean, it's been some precise stuff, but now they work like a champ. When they hit right here and they touch, then I've got enough room for your door seal, or the seals on both sides to be exactly sealed off. So that worked out great. It just took a lot of measuring and a lot of put together and take apart. So now I'm going to take your tailgate apart one more time here, just the wood off of it, and I'm going to put in your strips. So I was working with Craig, and he was showing me that the early 50s had 5 strips, and the laters had 3. Well, your tailgate must have had 3, because there's 3 spots for it, and then the bolts that bolted in. He sent me some pictures of what I was of some of the tailgates and showed me what they look like. So I'm going to go in here, take the back off, and then I'm going to weld in nuts inside there. All it had originally, I guess, were like a sheet metal type screw in there, and then one nut at the top. I want that to pull down tight and solid and forever, and I won't be able to get to it with the wood on it, so I'm going to weld nuts on the back side of it. Put one there, one here, one here. The reason I don't have holes right here is because I had to fabricate this piece. This piece was gone and rusted out. So I'll find a location for that and get these in place, and it won't be long. I'll be securing this wood and be done with this tailgate area. Here's the wood that goes on the tailgate, and everything involved what I've been doing to get the arms made have been to this point. So now I can get this wood up there now that all that's in its location, and then get it secured, and then I'll know where the outer surface of it is in relationship to the splash when it's completely open to its furthest point. Then I can make the arms. So it's all been about making these arms. But I need all this stuff in place, and it's all went right on the money. In putting on this outer skin, I'm going to make it where you can't see the bolts. We talked about not being able to see the bolts on outside. So I've got these little anchors I got to put in here, and I've got about 15 or 20 that's got to go in this, and it's got to be perfect. Every hole's got to be perfect every time without a mistake to get this piece remade or fixed or whatever. And then I've got to do that on every piece all the way around. So I'm fixing to do this first and get these anchors in place. Once this anchor's screwed down in there, then I can screw a 1/4-inch bolt in there to hold this in place. So let's see if we can get these in place. See how tedious this is. I'm putting these inserts in, and it has to be an exact depth, and I need just a little bit more depth than this so that this will cinch down. If it bottoms out first, it'll twist right out. If it doesn't, it's extremely strong. So and the way this wood is cut and curved, I've got calipers set, and I checked the the thickness of it and make sure I have plenty of depth. So where I'm at right now, there's plenty of depth to it. When I get up in this area, I'll have to change it, but change it to a shorter one, which I've got them. And but it's going to be pretty strong. But every hole has to be done perfectly. One mistake now would be bad because of all the time I've already got in the wood, just getting to this point. So proceed with caution. I'll talk to you about having backup lights on this. Since the Explorer is already wired and everything is there for it, there's a good chance it might even hook through the alarm system, so when you hit your key fob, your headlights will come on, and possibly the backup lights. I'm pretty sure the tail lights do. Not sure about the backup lights, but that'd be neat if it does. I found these in Mac. These are like for a 49 to 51 car, and where it mounts on the car, this is curved a little bit, and where I want to put them is flat. So I've taken one of them already, and I've built a little jig on the table and a block, and I have blocked it perfectly flat. So I'll do this one here in a minute. So now, and then I've mocked all this back up of what you're going to see here, and I found a little home right there for it. So I'm going to put both of them right there, and I think that's going to look good. It's going to be a super handy feature, especially being we've got a backup camera and all that. We'll put LEDs in here, and it'll be super bright when you go to back up. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing back here on the hatch. I found a spot where I can get a wire back, and I've run a real small wire from the computer back to here for this switch, and I found a switch that triggers the way I need to trigger for the computer, and I just had to make a little landing and lean it back a little bit. But that's what I'm going to put there, and this is the original looking one, and we'll put it right in there.